Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend update show. Hope everybody is doing well. Ugly weather in the Northeast, 30s and raining. Hopefully, again, April showers will finally get us some Mayflowers and beautiful weather to come, which I am not only speaking for myself, I think I can speak for everybody. We are ready for beautiful weather. So hopefully you guys are doing well. If you can do me a little bit solid, support the channel, click a like. All it takes is a second. Share, subscribe if you haven't come aboard already. And again, I will try to do my best to kind of point you in the right direction. So I think we could finally all take a breath, right? We talked about on the Thursday video how the average true range, the volatility has gotten so crazy that the average true range was over 6% for the S&P 500 for the week. Again, we talked about on Thursday's video, there's only 3 other times that we had that type of volatility after 9/11, the mortgage crisis, and when we locked down during the pandemic. So yes, that's a pretty big deal. The previous week, we lost 10% on the NASDAQ composite. A lot of information, a lot of moving parts. There was more news this morning. We had an incredible historical move on Wednesday that I missed, right? So we had a lot of really great information, a lot of data. We can take a deep breath and kind of analyze it here. For the week, right? For the week, the S&P 500 up 5.7%. The Dow added 5.5%, and after losing 10% the week before, the NASDAQ composite rose 7.3%, made back about 70% of its losses from the previous day. Here is where we talk about collecting data, right? If you breathe the word tariff, okay, at any possible time over the last 3-4 weeks, instant bids a poll. People are running for shelter. Not good. Markets just completely imploding. What we saw this week was not only a comment from the Trump administration about a 90-day kind of a pause, right? Pause for tariffs, kind of renegotiate a lot of things with different countries. But the most important part, in my opinion, what we saw on this week was the retaliation, right? The retaliation from China. They came out. China put up a 125% tariff on the United States. And guess what happened? We did not go down, right? We did not go down, which is actually a really good thing. Again, if it was 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we would have been having this conversation down 3, 4, 5% on the day, but that never happened. So where I'm sitting from, or at least from where I'm sitting from, because again, I always try to have an opinion and kind of have a course of action for the next day. Number one, we had this incredible 10, 12%, whatever it was, move on Wednesday. We had an inside day, if you guys watched the video on Thursday. And the question was, well, what was going to happen next? Were we going to lose the 5-day moving average and go back down, or are we going to reclaim back the 10-day moving average and potentially go up? We didn't go down, right? That's the whole point. We didn't go down on the China tariff news, the increase. We did not go down. We put in a higher low. You can see here. Here's a low here, 432.60s on, was it Thursday? And yesterday we put in a low of 441.30. So that is a higher low, right? Higher low, right? And then we had a higher high because we took out the previous day and we reclaimed back the 10-day moving average. That's bullish, right? That's an absolute bullish thing. I think with the 90-day pause, okay, has done is put in, I don't want to use the word bottom, okay, because we're far from that conversation. We're not even close to the 200-day moving average. But I think what that enabled us is to kind of put in a little bit of a floor, right? I understand it sounds kind of the same, but it's really not. I think there's going to be a little bit of a floor to a lot of names just because of the lack of reaction to the China tariffs and the opening up of negotiation for the next 120 days. So I think there's going to be some sort of floor, but obviously we don't know that, right? So I'm always keeping an eye on the 5-day loss below this 432 will automatically kick in a sell signal on the Qs. But I really like what the bulls did for the last couple of days. They had an inside day. They priced improved on the next day, up 8 points, higher lows, higher highs. And now the question is, can we get back to the 20-day supply, which is roughly 462? We're getting a lot more information over the weekend. Again, I'm recording this video. It is approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. Again, I don't know when you guys are going to see this video, but I'm pretty confident to say there's going to be more news that is going to come out after I'm done with the video. So you have to kind of take this on face value. So the worst kept secret possibly on the planet, right? You know, the old adage, somebody knows something, and you're never in that trade that somebody knows something, but somebody always knows something. We were finally in a trade on Friday that we knew something, right? And we knew something, the options market continues to bet. And we'll segue into that in a second. And the reason why I say that is the White House came out with a statement. Trump will issue kind of an exemption for electronics, laptops, computers, semiconductors, right? Think Apple, think the semi names. And the reason why I bring up Apple, we was sitting there on Friday, right? Sitting there on Friday when the stock was literally like 191, 192. And you started seeing the flow come in. They were buying for the weeklies, right? When the stock was at 191, they were coming for the 195 calls, 97.5 calls, the 200 calls. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like in one after another, after another, after another. And if you guys remember the previous night's video, my whole thing was I'm looking for anything that is going to take out the previous day's high on an inside day, because that's what you want. But when you combine that, right, when you combine that with aggressive option flow, we were sitting there and we're like, somebody obviously knows something. And now we're actually getting that information in front of us without actually getting that information in front of us, because we're seeing the option flow. They're betting that direction. I'm like, who the hell is betting $6.50 out of the money with 3 hours left? They knew something. Although the news didn't come out, Apple was an awesome pivot, man. It was an absolute awesome pivot. Here was kind of what we were talking about. Size buyers were coming in for next week's 200s, and the May 210s. What I didn't put here is what we saw after. They were coming for the 95 and 97.50 weeklies. So here was the pivot. 194.70s needs to build. And you could hear it, for all you guys who are not in the webinar. Again, if you are interested in pivots, again, folks, I see people celebrating this last week for the bulls and everybody's happy. But again, you could have been celebrating the way down. That's the whole point. You could have been celebrating the last 2.5, 3 months on the way down to capitalize the downside. Guys, there's pivots on both sides of the market. If you've been following me for years and years and years, we kind of take advantage. That's the whole point. So it seems kind of odd that, it's like a gambler losing $10,000 and they made back $200 and they're having this victory parade. Okay, cool. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But you have to trade both sides. If you consider yourself a trader, you have to use both sides of the market. If you're an investor, God bless. I hope you do I hope you do well. But the point was, we started seeing these violent pivots coming, right? Violent option flow coming. And you can see, so here is the 94.77. We see this 94.77 level, right? And it absolutely went bonkers, right? So here it is, right here it is. Absolutely went bonkers, traded all the way up to almost 200. At some point, for all you guys who are not in the webinar, at some point you heard me say, like literally, because I do literally commentary for every single tick of our trades. You could hear me say, come out with this news, come out with this news. Everybody knew this exempt news on Apple was coming. I think my mother called me and said, hey, you hear anything about the Apple exempt news? The way they were betting, right? The way they were betting the news was going to come out. The only problem is it came out over the weekend, but that's fine, man. You had a $4.50 pivot on Apple, took out the previous inside day and traded right to the 10-day 10-day supply. And obviously after the close, Saturday morning, you had these headlines that Apple, all the semiconductors, anything to do with electronics are going to be kind of exempt, right? Kind of exempt from these tariffs. So you're going to probably see a pretty good move on Apple, a lot of the semiconductors probably on Monday. So unless some really ridiculous other news comes out, at least the bulls from this point of view starting to look good on Monday. Again, I don't know what news will come out more after I record this video, but that's that. Meta, pretty good move. Again, this is kind of what we talk about. Guys, if you've been following me for years, okay, even if you don't know nothing about the PS60 theory, there's one thing I've been kind of harping on for years and years and years. Okay, if you want the highest probability trade, okay, the absolute highest probability trade, number one, the stock needs to confirm the previous day's channel. There's no way a stock can go higher if it doesn't reclaim the previous day's highs, and there's absolutely no possible way a stock can go lower if it doesn't lose the previous day's lows, right? So that's the most basic thing. There's nothing to do about the PS60 theory. It's just the most basic thing. And once you get deep out of the money, and again, deep out of the money could be $4 or $5, but if you could get deep out of the money calls or puts in that direction with same day expiration, there's a high probability that trade is going to work. That's why Apple really exploded. And my first trade of the day was Meta, right? Guy came in right off the word go. He came in for 300 grand for the 530 puts. Got short below that 534 level. Stock went down to like 529, 528. Again, not the biggest trade in the world, but again, it really does show you how you can take a very, very simplistic formula of daily confirmation complemented by an ignition of short-term expiration option flow, and you could have a really, really good positive result. So Meta was good. Apple was absolutely awesome. The only pivot I didn't put here, it was just too fast, was an AMD pivot. Congratulations for all you guys who caught AMD. I didn't take any AMD. It was just a little too quick for me. But AMD, nice pivot here. Again, took out the previous day's high of 93, right? Previous day's high is 93. Traded up all the way up to almost 95. Still has room, especially with this news of potential exemption for semiconductors going in to Monday. So we are set up, right? We are set up for Monday. Here are the key levels that everybody should watch for Monday. Number one, I'm assuming we gap up on this news. Again, I could be wrong. Again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But for this week, we need to get back above roughly 468 on the Qs. If we can get above 468 and confirm that Wednesday onslaught, right? That Wednesday onslaught of buying, we can start making our way, baby steps, back to 474, 480s. Again, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but we definitely need to confirm Wednesday's slugfest to the upside. And if you are trading to the downside, again, which I really, really encourage every single trader, not investor, but trader to do, watch the 432.60s level as a point of reference. If we start losing 432.60s point of reference, we are going to go lower. So 432.60s to the downside and 468 to the upside, your macro levels for this week. Right, from this week. So pretty much, again, you can take your favorite stock. I don't care what you're trading. You could take your favorite stock. Anything that confirms above Wednesday's channel should rock and roll. Right? Should rock and roll. It doesn't make a difference what it is. So for example, let's use Tesla as an example, right? Obviously. What the hell's going on here? Why am I not getting any feed? You know what's cool? When you're recording a video and you're not getting any data. All right, cool. So my data is broken. My data is broken for whatever reason. For some reason, it's showing me I have no data. Anyway, the more important is anything over the previous days, right? Anything over the previous day's highs. Let me just see if I can. All my data for some reasons. Okay, here we go. Sorry, it was a delayed reaction. Okay, so you see, for example, Wednesday's candle on Tesla, right? This candle. It's the same thing with the Qs. Any stock that confirms Wednesday's highs. You don't need to be creative. It doesn't make a difference what it is. Amazon, Google, Tesla, NVIDIA, whatever it is. Any stock this week confirms Wednesday's highs, we should go higher, right? It's pretty much it. Any stock that confirms the 5-day low from Thursday, which is the inside day, will go lower. Again, sometimes you don't have to be very creative. Sometimes technical analysis is so bare-boned that it's so easy to identify the levels that you don't need to look at 200 different indicators or ask for 500 different opinions. So it's very, very important to understand sometimes which way the wind is blowing, and sometimes the data really complements of all the things we kind of discussed in the last few minutes. So that's it, everybody. If you are interested in pivots, guys, again, click the link below. All it takes is 30 days to see if it's a right fit for you. If it is a right fit for you, there's a lot of information, a lot of moving parts. But again, we are the only people on the planet who trade the PS60 theory, and it starts to make sense is when you start seeing it live. Guys, God bless everybody. Have everybody a great, great weekend. And with God's help, I'll see you all on Monday. Take care.